My name is Kayari Danielle, and this evening, before we even open up the presentation, in ancient African tradition, before we open a ceremony, a gathering, we always get permission from our elder. So tonight I'm asking the elder of this group to give us permission to speak. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So we have permission to speak, and what we're going to do, the other thing that is done in African culture is that before we open up anything, we do libation. And libation is to, we're here today, all of us stand here because of someone who came before us. And to do that, we want to honor the people that came before us. So it doesn't matter what culture you are, you're here today because someone else was here. And what we're going to do this evening is do libations to our ancestors to open up the ceremony so we can go on from here and have a wonderful evening and Lamin talk about the Kunta Kinteh village in West Africa. Ashe. Ashe. Before I start, once we do the libation, one of the things I'd ask everyone to do is to think about an ancestor and please call their name out as we pour the water.
Kunta Kinteh.
Julius.
Vincent Lynch. Therese Lynch.
Kunta Kinteh.
Harriet Tubman.
Amoro Kinteh.
Marcus Garvey.
Alex Haley.
John Kennedy.
Dolores.
So at this moment, what I'd like to do is to So at this moment, I'd like to introduce everyone, probably already know, the gentlemen of the evening, the two gentlemen of the evening, Chris Haley and Lamin Jatta. Thank you.
Oh, stop. You really obeyed me. No, darn. So, Chris Haley, Lamin Jatta, also known as the two gentlemen of Verona, but that's a Shakespearean play, so we won't go there. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here today, this evening, when we're very blessed to have actually very temperate weather, considering it is June, and we know how hot it can be and how hot it is outside there. I want to thank the William Paca House for allowing us to have these festivities here. Tree Branch Design with Lamin Jatta and all in their company for arranging this has been wonderful. Palate Pleasers, I understand, is our caterer. I want to thank Palate Pleasers as well. I want to thank everyone else who is here from the local citizens and community activists, as well as members of the Maryland African American Culture. Am I saying it right?
History and Culture.
History and Culture, there you go. Chairman Mack right up here in the front. And also members of the Legacy of Slavery Advisory Board are here. Phoebe McPherson is one of our commissioners, as well as Commissioner Linda Patton Marshall. Members of the Haley family are here. There's my cousin Andrea Blackstone is right here also taking photographs. And my brother Alan Haley is over there behind one of the cameras. I think somebody else in here, right? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, one of the things I'd like to say to you today is just to sort of get us in the feeling of what I feel has brought me here. And part of that is that those who know me know that my ultimate background is very much in the realm of theater and the performing arts. And that's really what I wanted to do from the time I knew what I wanted to do. Along those lines, as early as I knew what I wanted to do in theater and arts, I was always fascinated by African American history. And my grandmother, Ziona Haley, brought me a book when I was very young, maybe about 5 years younger than now. Yeah. That was the American Heritage book on the Negro in America, and it was a pictorial book, and I couldn't believe how many photographs of African Americans were in there. It was really stunning, and it's been a passion of mine for all of my life. And within that, I started thinking about how could I incorporate and blend my love of the arts into a respect for history. And that, basically 20 years ago, is how ultimately I came to be at the Maryland State Archives, where now I am the director of the study of the legacy of slavery in Maryland, which, again, if it wasn't me, I probably would think, wow, that's kind of fascinating that there's this guy who's related to the guy who was here 200 and some years ago, who landed in Annapolis, and now his great, I hope that's 5, grandson is now the director of a study that's all about that history. If it wasn't me, I probably would fall out, flank, and everybody would go crazy. But since it's me, I'm like, wow, that's really nice. So that's part of my background. Also, just to relate to you, the Haley connection, the Alex Haley thing for the way I look at it is about 3 different events I remember, I think, most poignantly in my life. And one is that when I was a very young kid, again, 5 years ago, Uncle Alex used to come by in DC, and he would always come by, I would say every year, every other year, because he was writing this book, and he would give a speech at the Smithsonian, and was always sold out. Always sold out. And I always wondered, what was this book that Uncle Alex was going to write that people would fill up the Smithsonian for, because every year the book was not yet written. And every year they would show up, and he'd be there, and he'd say hi, and he'd have some other very attractive young lady with him, and he'd be there. He would. He's a player. But he would be there, and I think, my gosh, wow, what is this book? What is this book? And literally, I started thinking that maybe this book is never going to come out. It's just nice that people are just showing up, and what kept me satisfied, and my brother Alan, who we call Cornell, satisfied, was that we always knew Uncle Alex was a big deal, because he would always give both of us a $10 bill. When we were just little bitty kids, he would give us a $10 bill. And you can imagine that when you're young, like single digits, a $10 bill means a lot. It really, really does. And since we are about honoring people today and sort of doing things in their honor, if any of you all here would like to give my brother and myself a $10 bill, we'd accept it. No, really. Okay, fine. Well, the other thing is that years later, when I was in high school, my teacher, Jim Mumford, who was also my theater teacher, thought it might be a great idea if Uncle Alex would come and speak at my high school graduation, which I thought that was a phenomenal thing to ask for. I didn't know what that would entail, but somehow he got in touch with the rector, who at that point, Archbishop Carroll High School, Catholic high school, got in touch with my uncle's people, and he actually showed up to do our high school graduation ceremony at the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. And what I remember that was so fascinating about it was not so much that my uncle was there and people were riveted by what he said and just by his presence, but that at that point, so many people next to me would say, God, he's short. Wow, I can't believe he's a small man. Because at that point, Roots had just come out and he was like a giant. So people couldn't believe how he really was a human being. And I think that's part of the legacy that we all have today, that along the lines of what we've all admire about my uncle and about our family, about Lamin's legacy and connection to the family, the Kunta Kinteh family, the Lamin Jatta family, is that we all have that within us. And we all have a legacy within us, and it's just a matter of probably buckling down and doing some writing and doing some research so that you too can have your own ceremony, whether it's as grand as this is at the Paca House or just in your own home for whatever family reunion you might have. The third incident was that I was working for Universal Studios Florida. I was one of the actors on the lot. And as many actors are, they can get temperamental, just here and there, you know, I don't know, if there's something happens like, you know, Mariah Carey. I mean, something happens and you can be temperamental. And so many of the actors, myself included, felt like management was not treating us well. at Universal Studios, Florida. We really felt that, and we complained, and we tried to get equity involved. Uncle Alex was on the board of Touchstone, which is for Disney. And so I sent him a postcard, I sent him a letter, and of course he's always traveling around, but every now and then he would show up in Orlando, Florida, because there would be a board meeting of Touchstone, and there he'd be. Now, would I know this because he would call me or drop me a line? No. I would know this because somebody who also worked at Universal Studios would give me a piece of paper, the Orlando Sentinel, which would say, hey, your uncle's in town. That's how I would find out. So I thought, wow, I mean, it's wonderful, it's great, but he's so busy. Does he even know that I actually live here in Orlando, probably 20 minutes from Disney? One day I'm home with a friend, and I get this phone call. And for whatever reason, I let the friend answer the phone and not myself. And so he's on the phone for just a moment, and he points at the phone, and he says he's your uncle. I'm like, Uncle who? Your Uncle Alex. I'm like, oh, come on, please. And I probably said something. I asked him again where he's calling from. And I don't know what he said. He might have said, you know, Los Angeles. He might have said San Francisco, the different place where my uncle worked or lived. And so anyway, so finally I reluctantly picked up the phone, and I was so thinking, which friend is this who said he's my uncle? Because they know sometimes he shows up, and I never know when he's around. So I pick up the phone, and he says, hi, this is your Uncle Alex. So tell me what those people are doing to you. And I thought, 1, 2, 3, James Earl Jones? And it really was him. So he actually had gotten my phone calls, he had gotten my postcards, and he actually called me out of the blue in Orlando, Florida, because of something I had sent him. And it just shows you how, I guess, from my point of view and from many of my family members, as iconic as he is to so many people, and how he is a worldwide recognized name, to us he's still really family, and he's an uncle. And sometimes it's very hard for me to literally conceive of just how huge he is to so many others, because to me he really is my Uncle Alex, who we call Palmer, who used to give me a $10 bill. It's just true. Now, how did I meet this well-dressed young man over here? Let me see. Okay, well, years and years and years ago, which is to say, again, 5 years ago, when I was about 21-ish, he had been in touch with my father, I know, our father, Julius, and my Uncle George, and also our cousin Bill, and had just been in touch with him. And my father told me once that Lamin Jatta is calling us, and he wants to be in touch. He wants to get a better sense of the family and what we're doing. He wants to really connect with us. And I think he thought you were a student. I really do. I think I got the impression that he thought you were a student going to college somewhere. And I don't know if he thought you wanted us to help you with a scholarship or something like that. I mean, that's what the impression I got. So so I ended up speaking with him, and over the course of these 4 years, 2010, we kept talking about trying to get together and trying to find a time when we might be able to get all the family together, and not literally, not until this year, and I believe it was March, at the Annapolis Film Festival, where Patty and Lee and Sonia were all involved, and Tree Branch Designs were all involved in making that happen, that I was asked to be a part of a panel. Around the same time, Lamin said he was thinking about coming by at some point. When could he do that? When might be a good time where we could get everyone together? And I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm going to be here for a while. It's going to be a happening event, and maybe this would be good for him to meet a lot of people, and also because our god cousin, Adela Shabazz, was going to be there, the ambassador Shabazz was going to be, it might be a great event. And he was able to somehow adjust his schedule to come by here. And he was here for, I think, roughly about a week or so, and that has made the magic happen. And ultimately, that's why we're here today, because I have finally become connected, along with my other family and friends, with my cousin, Lamin Jatta.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
It's a pleasure to be here. I am so much happy. I am so happy to be here in Annapolis. As Chris said, this is a continuation of Kunta Kinteh and the legacy of Alex Kunta Kinteh. The descendants of Kunta Kinteh are still alive. So we're here today. I thank everybody for coming, and I will tell you who I am. My name is Lamin Jatta, and I will tell you the story I had from since I was very little. Many, many years ago, my grandmother explained the story of Kunta Kinteh to me. The same woman explained it to Alex Haley when they first met in 1967 in the Gambia. So I'll go to this story. Kunta Kinteh's story is a story been said in the family for generations. It's been narrated to us through the local tradition, oral history. That's how we know the story. So they go back from generation to another generation. So we came from Mali originally. Kunta Kinteh family, we are from Mali. So Kunta Kinteh's father is Amaro Kinteh. Amaro Kinteh moved to Mauritania where he studied the Quran. He became a spiritual person. So Kunta Kinteh, the holy man from Mauritania, gave him a name of that he's going to have a son one day. And then the son, they will never have to stay too much together. So Kunta Kinteh, from there, the father moved, Amaro Kinteh moved from Mauritania to Gambia, where he married Kunta Kinteh's mother, Binta Keba. They have a son called Kunta, because the reason why it's Kunta is a request from the holy man, and it's a special name. Normally in Mandingo tribes, a first child is called Lamin. That's how I got my name from Kunta Kinteh's brother. So Kunta's name was a holy name and a special name. So from there, Kunta was a young boy growing up in the village of Juffureh as a normal child, as my grandmother told me. So the story that we are looking at Kunta, one day he was sent to a bush school. And this bush school is like many African kids, they send them to a circumcision field, okay, where they circumcise them manually. Many people see the movie, they call it they call it warrior, the African warrior. The reason why Kunta Kinteh have the warrior, that he was the only child who was able to laugh during that painful time, because they circumcised them manually with no painkiller. So he's the only person who was laughing through that process. So Kunta was crowned as a Mandinka warrior on that night. So from there, so Kunta Kinteh was growing up as a different special child. Was very different with any other person in the village. So after he come out, one day he promised his brother that he's gonna make him something, but the brother don't know what he's gonna make him. So the brother always keep asking him, which is the Lamin, the little brother, said, what are you gonna make for me? He said, I'm gonna make you something. So he keep asking him. So one day he just get up with the friends, where he went to get him a drum, the wooden drum. That was the last time Kunta has been seen. He never returned back. Kunta was so kind to everybody, so it became a tragedy to the village. Entire community come together to look for Kunta Kinteh, but they never found Kunta. They never know where he was. But the holy man told Kunta's father that this child is going to be well known, and this child going to have a little time with you to spend, you will spend with him. But his legacy will never die. He will be always remembered for the rest of the world. So through there, Kunta Kinteh father take this word that from that day, his story has to be continued, to be told to the next generation. So that next generation is us. From generation, went back to my grandmother. She gave all her life explaining this story. So one day when he was telling me this story, it was so sad for me. Since I was that little, I couldn't understand what she was telling me until I went so far, around age 10, that's when I remember. And I understand how painful and how sad. I try to imagine every word, any saddest or any painful words, to think why your fellow human beings will treat another fellow human beings like that. So that's when I came back and I asked this question, who is this Kunta Kinteh? And then she said, you are from that descendant bloodline. I feel deeply emotion. Up to today, that emotion will never get out of my life. So I give myself that commitment that what she do, I'll pass by the same thing. I was engaged with the family. I like my history. I love my roots. As much as I can, to connect everybody together. So that's why my grandmother, the last word from me and her was 2003. She died in 2004. So she said, you came here today and you saw me. But next time you come back, you will not see me. I'll be gone. But I'm going to tell you one thing. If I'm gone, and if the story of Kunta Kinteh die, it's going to be because of you. So I thought it was a joke, because every time she was talking, so I thought it was a joke. I never take it serious. So I was sitting down and I felt more emotion start coming to me. A lot of things were coming to me because I never take it serious. So I don't want to, I'm still a family member, but I don't want to take any leadership position. So I called my mom. I was seeing some weird dreams. And I said to my mom, why am I seeing these dreams? I'm seeing ancestors. Am I going to die or what? She said, no. You have been chosen, and you have to accept it. If you don't accept, you will never get your life back. So the day I accept that I'm going to do what she told me to do, that's the day I set up the Kunta Kinteh Family Foundation to keep his legacy and the many people who have been taken from Africa, many Americans sitting here, blacks, to connect them with their African descendants. So Kunta Kinteh Family Foundation, that's how it comes through. And the village of Juffureh, since the book was published, the roots, it brings many fame. Many people around the world visited the village after. But we have very little help from the people. So that's why Kunta Kinteh Family Foundation is dedicated to bring help back to his people, bring the hope they never had. Because Kunta Kinteh was the hope for the village to help people, but he was lost. As a warrior, he thought he let his people down, because a warrior never been kidnapped. You don't put a warrior on the cave. So he think he was a failure, but he's not a failure. His ancestors here today will make him proud, will do the intention he wants to do his people. So that's why I'm here today, to do the luncheon of Kunta Kinteh, because from Africa, he came here first. This is his place where he first landed, in Annapolis. That's why it's very important to come together and then to do that for Kunta Kinteh. And then the village. So the foundation is seeking for the help, which is the water. Water is a big problem in Africa. Many people have died of the waterborne disease. I've seen a lot of people died of diarrhea. A lot of people died because they were so blind, some people they cannot even see, because of the water has so much bacteria on it. But the reason why I'm here, to help, to ask for the help from the people, wonderful people who has made this day, to come here to listen to my story, to join me, to make that dream come true for the people in the village, to help them without water, to provide them 4 new wells. That's my commitment. And then to keep the story also, to go alive. So I'm very happy my cousin and I, we are joining here to do this, for Kunta Kinteh, Alex Sely, and Binta Kinteh. And I thank you all for being here. Thank you. The wells we have is like these modern day technology wells. So you build a well and then you put like a cover on it. So you have a filter which will, so you put like a chlorine on the bottom. So you kill all the bacteria to kill the waterborne disease inside. So it purifies it, and then it was pumped by the solar energy. Because Africa have a lot of sunshine. So to have a generator, sometimes it's going to spoil, and then you got to pay more money to fix it. So we prefer to have a solar. It's better than to have a generator. Yes.
Do you know what the cost would be to put in one well? I think that's the question. In other words, would it be in American dollars? Would it be $1,000 to build one well?
A new well with a pump.
The new well with the pump with the solar energy will cost about $30,000. Yeah, dollars. Yeah. So the total it comes with about $120,000.
So you need 4 wells to service your village?
2,800 people in the village. And the reason why these wells is even important is not only for the village, because we have a lot of tons of American tourists. After the movie came out, a lot of people goes to Gambia to trace their roots, African Americans, and the whites, goes there to enjoy the sun, the beach side, and then they will visit the family also. So, but a lot of people, they willingly will do the help, but we hardly have any help from outsiders. So that's why this foundation is a hope to bring back to the people. And the students, who are missing school, the women who are missing going to, cooking, the men who are missing going to the farm, the tourists who are coming also, they may not drink the water, but they use it to take a bath or shower. So you don't want to take a shower with because some want to stay in the village. If they live in the city, it's okay. They have hotels, which have, nice water system. It's okay with them, but the village don't have it. So the water is bad for their skin. So it will give you a dry skin, and then at the end of the day, you're gonna have a problem with your skin. So it can turn out something. So that's why it's very important for everybody around the world. We have tons of people all over the world will come, so it's not only going to be for the village.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Any other question about the family? And then,
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much for your joint talk. It was most interesting. How many descendants are there in your family?
The Kunta Kinteh family is a big family. It's a lot. We are more than 100 people. 200 to 300 people. So I am 9th generation. He's 8th generation.
So you have 298 other cousins?
Yes.
Okay.
So because some have one. I have a daughter. So imagine my daughter is gonna be 10th generation. So I have one daughter. So, but some family, like my mom's side, we have a set of 4. So Kunta Kinteh, Binta Kinteh, the 7th generation sister, my grandmother, have about 4 sisters. And all these 4 sisters, they have a big, big family. My grandmother alone have about 7 kids. So the grandkids and then the nephews and the uncles and the nieces and...
Have you ever made a family tree? I think it would be a beautiful thing to see actually like an African tree.
Yeah.
There would be the family tree showing the whole family.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that? Is there such a thing?
Well, there certainly is one on the Haley family, and quite frankly, all I have to do is go online and look at Kunta Kinteh family tree, and I'll find many different iterations of my family tree.
It's a lot of people there. I don't even know some of them. But when I go, I always have events like this. So because I love to bring the family together. That's my commitment, to bring the love and then to know who we are. Because my grandmother she said always, know who you are. She always tell me that wherever I go, I have to know who I am. So the story to share with the other family members. So we always like to do gathering like this to know, to put our memory back. Whatever you want to do, or put your memory back to know who you are. So we do that. So some of them will come, oh, I'm your cousin. My mom will introduce me, or some elders will introduce them to me. I don't know them. But I accept them as family. May not see them, may not know them, doesn't mean that we are not the same blood. So family is big.
The question is, how long have you been here? Been stateside?
How long will you?
Oh, till Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon, yeah.
Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah. But this is not going to be my last trip here. I want to continue to do this. This this is the opening. So I want to come back here. I feel like home because this is the home of Kunta Kinteh when he first came here. So I want to come back more and engage with the beautiful people here. Yes.